If you didn't know that, I am the director at Good Spirit. How many rules do you guys think were broken in that video that you just watched? I promise you that was not from last summer, that's from a couple years ago. Just because the footage last summer, we didn't have a video person and I don't have any of it anywhere. But it's just a reminder for all the stuff that we did. In a few seconds here, you'll see a PowerPoint come up. But I just want to share a message of encouragement to you guys. It was an awesome summer. As John said, it's different. We don't know a lot of stuff that was going to happen. That's what happened last summer. And we kind of know what we're getting into this summer, but at the same time, we don't at all. So if you can continue to pray for us for that. We have lots of staff lined up, lots of kids signing up. But today I just again want to offer a message of encouragement to you guys. And so if you can go to the next slide, please. All right, I know most of this from memory. I've done this a few times, so there's a few things missing from there. But last summer, we were only able to do day camps, as most of you know, which meant no overnight. And we've never done day camps in Good Spirit before. So with the government restrictions, we could only do 15 kids per day. Luckily, they allowed us to do 30 kids if we just kept the group separate after registration all day. And for reference, that would be 30 kids per day as opposed to a normal week where we could have just under 100 kids. So as you can tell, the scale is quite a bit different. But it did allow us some benefits in the sense that we could be a lot more intentional and personal with the kids in that specific day where we had, sometimes we had a leader ratio of 2 to 1. And again, in a normal summer, it's usually about that like 10 to 2. So it's a lot different and it was good in that way. One of the really cool things too last year, we had a lot of kids that have never been to Bible camp, let alone Good Spirit before. And it was approximately 150 kids that have never been through the Bible camp gates before, which was really awesome. We usually get new kids every year, but that number was higher than on a normal year, just by the nature of day camps. One of the unforeseen kind of benefits we got from that, because day camps has always been on my priority list, but nothing like a worldwide shutdown to force you to get your priorities straightened. And it's something that we're definitely going to do when the world does maybe return to normal one day. So one of the cool things was Good Spirit, we do really well up to the ages of about 13 for getting kids to come. We fill most of those camps up. Kind of the young teen, senior high age. We've been growing, but a lot slower than the other camps where there's like waiting lists. And a lot of those 150 kids were kids for senior high age that have never been to camp before. And something for me, like I've worked at camp but I've never been there. So to understand that in the teen years, it's a little more intimidating coming for a week. So kids were trying it that had never been because they only have to come for the day. So we had a lot of new kids coming from that and then returning, which is really cool. Also because we weren't able to do family camps, a lot of you guys here in Melville have been to Good Spirit before. We weren't able to do the family camps that a lot of families come to, obviously. And those are donation-only, like, camps for everyone. And because of that, we tried to do some alternative stuff. And one of those was that movie drive-in that we did. And I know some of you guys were there. That was a lot of fun last year. Again, we've never done something like that before. And I expected to have, like, I was happy if we had, like, even close to 100 people. And we ended up having over 200 people come to this thing. We had people parking like everywhere and sitting everywhere, and like it was even interesting trying to social distance vehicles and stuff. Like it was just an interesting time last year, and but it was a lot of fun. We sold out of popcorn in like 10 minutes. I thought we were gonna have so much left over, but it was just a really fun time. And the coolest thing for me personally was I've been working at camp for 8 years as director now, and over 10 years if you count cabin leading and stuff. And so I say that to say that I've met a lot of people that have come through Good Spirit before, staff and families otherwise. And I didn't recognize half the people that came to that drive-in, and that's exactly why we wanted to do it. Like I know some people are like, well, it's just a movie, it's not changing people's lives as much. But we were just trying to make a safe place for families to feel free to come when there wasn't a lot of options available. Like you guys all remember last summer, and what we're currently going through. So it was just really encouraging in that aspect, and it was also free to come to. So we did that so money wasn't a barrier, but we called it a fundraiser, and that was just so that we could actually put a title on it. And there was people again that have never been to our camp, they were just coming to the movie, and they were just handing money at the front gate. Like, it was just awesome. It's not all about money, but it was just cool to see people that have never been there before that were just like, oh no, we want to help you guys out. So that was awesome. All the others of you that have been to camp before know we do the auction fundraisers. And those are just fun ways to give to camp. It's where people, at family camps, we do them. And where you take something that's worth like a $10 teddy bear, and it might go for $500 because two dads are bidding for their daughters, and one daughter goes home crying, but the other one's really happy. But it's all for the name of Jesus, so that's why it's good. But actually, though, it was started by actually camp people. It wasn't started by anyone that actually was working that week years ago. And it's just a really fun way for people to give and participate towards something they were going to give toward anyway. And those were really fun. So because we couldn't do that last year, we had so many people saying, could you figure something out with that? And we did an online fundraiser. And again, Melville, you guys were a big part of that. But just a fundraiser where you could like bid anonymously or put your name on it and bid on items. And both of those ended up bringing in over $7,000 last year too. Which again, I was happy with like $1. So, and all the items are donated as well. So it was a really cool support and just something to kind of keep people engaged and connected with camp when they couldn't physically be there. Some other things we did, like as far as the day camps go, we tried some community day camps. So your church was one of the ones we used, and we also used Heritage in Yorkton. Like they weren't like full, they weren't like big, like there wasn't attendance at them for the 30, we were getting like 5 kids at them. But it was cool because all the parents were just saying, because the reason we were trying to offer these community ones for you guys is like we understand the sacrifice to drive out to camp for a day during the work week. You might have to be late or all the hassle of getting your kids organized. And but all the parents were like, that sacrifice is worth it for them because their kids love camp so much. So it was really cool to hear, because it's not me and even the staff sometimes, like it's just cool that a Bible camp, like something that's focused on Jesus, has such a strong place in so many people's hearts. And that was really encouraging as well. And one of the cool things that came out of it, we actually had the opportunity to do, we sent out emails to ask if people wanted it, and we actually did a reserve day camp in Kisaku's First Nation over there, and that was a ton of fun doing that as well. We've never actually done like off-site camps usually, so we brought some horses and stuff like that, and we spent the whole day there, and it was just a ton of fun hanging out with those kids. And there was a church pastor there that let us come and use their grass kind of field area. So it was a lot of fun, and that was another cool thing that again wouldn't have happened on a normal summer. So just a huge blessing to God to provide so many opportunities to spread the gospel, and just in different ways, right? So if you go to the next slide, please. So some of the things that were done. I promise you my slide is not this poorly edited, but some of the things that were done last year, coming out of 2019, which again is kind of funny, but the camp had its biggest year attendance-wise, but also financially. So there was a decent surplus, and we're a nonprofit, so government doesn't like if we have money sitting in a bank account, which is perfect for a camp director. So the board's like, can we use this? And we had a lot of projects that we had been pushing off for years just because the ministry, and this is all part of the ministry, but it always takes the focus. And so one of the things we were able to do was this maintenance shop. For those of you that haven't been to Good Spirit before, we have like 3 camp vehicles, a tractor, lawnmowers, side-by-side, like all that kind of stuff. And our old maintenance shop was more like a garage, and there was like a 1-car garage. So obviously with that, we were putting a lot of stuff outside and weathering a lot of stuff that shouldn't be. Which was costing us a lot of money. So a maintenance shop was something that we determined would be like very helpful. And our current maintenance shop is also in the middle of our camp yard. So like after campfires and stuff like that, the side-by-side for maintenance would have to drive in. And some of these kids or leaders are trying to put kids to sleep. So we never had any issues driving through the middle of the yard yet, but it was something that we wanted to avoid in the future. So we put this up out of the way, so it's kind of more private. When the tools are out and stuff like that, there's no worry about the kids being in that area because they're just not over there anymore. So it's in a new spot. And again, because of the surplus, we were able to fully pay for that. And one of the cool things that came actually was, again, fall of 2019. We do lots of you guys have been to these, that I do the fundraisers in Yorkton at Heritage, the fall fundraiser. And out of that fundraiser, I made a reference that we were going to start this in 2020, and we actually ended up getting someone that donated all of the tin. That wasn't the plan. We were planning to pay for it, but he donated over $8,000 worth of tin. So, like, that's a huge amount, right? Like, this is just someone that offered it. He's like, I could have sold it, but I want to give it to you guys because you have a need. And so it was awesome. And then Ridge Runner was also the ones that built that, and Jake is here now, and he was, it was an awesome company. It just went super smooth, and so it was super helpful. And yeah, like, I grew up on a farm, so having a shop like this was awesome. You can go to the next slide, please. Another thing that needed to be addressed for a long time, it was funny because I was talking to the Neesons before renovating their basement. They said it was from the 70s, I think. I also think this bathroom was built then. I don't think it was renovated since then, so it was new. And bathrooms are obviously super important at camp. We wanted to do the whole building, because we did the exterior a few years ago. But just the one side of the girls' bathroom cost $40,000. Bathrooms are so expensive, you guys know that. But again, it went great. We added a lot of privacy stuff. You guys know as the world's changing, things change. And so we had a really huge change room with like 4 shower stalls. But we added 3 more shower stalls and took away and just made them all deeper so that the girls can change inside their stalls. And that's for the protection of the kids as well as the staff and everything like that. Just because most people don't change out in the open anymore. Things are different nowadays, and we're just trying to be helpful and safer that way. Same with the bathroom stalls as well. Our old stalls actually rusted with the moisture in the bathroom, so we tried to get stuff that's supposed to be rust-proof. We'll see how that goes, but it's a lot more helpful in the bathroom when that happens. And the girls loved it, even though we didn't get to use it as much last summer. It was still super helpful, and we hopefully can do the guys in the next year or 2 here. If you want to go to the next slide. This is another surprise thing. There's a couple things I'll be sharing with you. This is one of them. We weren't expecting this to happen. One of our local camp supporters did a bid. Actually, do any of your kids go to Yorkdale here? I know you're in Melville, maybe not. That's the school that I went to anyway, in elementary school, and they had an old playground that they didn't account for frost. So the frost was pushing everything out of the ground, all the concrete. So instead of just like fixing it, they built a new one or bought a new one. But then they put out a bid for people if whoever had the highest bid when they closed bidding gets to take the entire playground. The person that bought it only needed 1 slide, so they had a huge playground and they donated it to camp, them and their family. And most of you guys probably know that, it's a Melville family here. You can see the picture there, that's like all my nieces and nephews. If you wonder why so much stuff gets done at camp over the last few years, we save a lot of money when I use free labor, and it's all nieces and nephews. So the same, if you have big families, they're super helpful for that. We actually built that last summer, and it was awesome. Like, the kids absolutely loved it, and the staff too. Like, I was on there with the kids last summer as well. And again, we priced it out. If I was to build, because I wanted a playground for a while, but they're so expensive, as most of you might know. The similar size playground would cost just about $120,000 to do. The camp it costed $0 last summer, and it's an older one, but it got refurbished and repainted and stuff like that. So it was awesome, and again, it went great. And I even put a picture on the top right there. I moved the trampoline pit. If you guys again have been to camp, you know that we have it ground level just to increase the safety a little bit for when kids fall off or something like that. The only reason I put that in there is because Home Hardware donated that wood, because I would not have been able to do that. The board wouldn't have gone for it. It's just those like 13 sheets of 3/4 treated plywood. At the start of the summer when I budgeted, they were like 20 something, and at the end of the summer when we did it, it was $90 a sheet. So it would have cost like $1,300 to do that. It's just a bunch of pieces of wood. But they actually, they donated it again. Home Hardware has been really awesome with doing that with us for the last few years. So that was cool to be able to get them as well. If you go to the next slide, please. This is another one that surprised us. We did a new games field a couple years ago, and the guy that we bought the dirt from, he lives pretty close to camp, so that's why it works easier, not as much driving. He actually is moving to be by his grandkids in BC. He's retired, so he sold his farm, and he phoned us up in the middle of the winter, and he asked, he told us that with his gravel pit that he has in his farmyard, there is gravel and crushed rock and dirt. He said he loses possession August 1st. He's like, take whatever you want before then. So me being the person working at camp and works a lot better with budget and stuff is free, That maintenance shop that I showed, we put it into the bush so it's kind of out of the way up on the hill there. But at the back end, there was about a 4-foot decline drop, so we knew we were going to have to put a ton of gravel in. But we didn't know that we were going to be able to get all this gravel for free. We also did a parking lot last summer where we did that drive-in movie. And we redid all of our roads, or recovered them and leveled it everywhere. So we ended up hauling. There was a bunch of farmers that support the camp, again in our area, from Melville and area, Springside area as well. And they donated all their machines and all the fuel. They would not take money. And like other people try harder than me, like I offer, but usually they want it not. They don't want the praise. And it's just a really cool thing, and obviously quite biblical when people are doing it out of the goodness of their heart. And not wanting rewards, but we were more than okay paying people for at least some of the use or fuel, but they just wouldn't take it. And it was a 3-day project, and gravel alone, we calculated, it was $30,000 in gravel alone that we hauled for free, like plus the rock and dirt. The whole project cost probably over $50,000 if you would have included rental and stuff like that. And again, it costed the camp absolutely nothing except for a few hours because everything was volunteered. So like these are huge sacrifices. It's not for me to give praise to myself or anyone else. It's just God working with people and showing people that even amidst all the adversity last summer, there's people that were just, they love what God does at camp and they want to support it in any way they can. And whether it's with time or resources or machinery, it was huge. Like again, we would have never done that if it wasn't for the support of those people and their time and resources. So it was really cool to be a part of that, and it was a lot of fun. If you want to go to the next slide. I don't know how well you guys can see from there. This is a drone shot from above camp last summer. All of those kind of yellow stars that you see, one of the big ones I want you guys to focus on is the center one there, where that black patch is right beside it. That is where, because last year, I think my promos got canceled when COVID came last year before I got to Melville. I came to about half the churches. I think you guys didn't get here. So if you didn't hear last year, we are still planning to build a dining hall. Again, we planned this before, obviously COVID, but we are still trying to move forward with the fundraising effort for that new dining hall. And again, before COVID, there's inflation and stuff. We'll see how things go. But that project was going to cost about $2 million for the building we need because we were filling up our camps and we couldn't fit everyone even in the dining hall. But that's where it's going to go, right in the middle there. So if you're ever wondering, or if someone asks you, that's just a reference point. The maintenance shed is on the top left, that yellow circle there. There's a new road that we put into the campground 2 years ago, but we just did more work on it last year. And then the parking lot is below that dining hall one, the bottom yellow circle there. So as you can see, that's a huge amount of gravel that we hauled everywhere. And then the last yellow circle on the right side was where we put the playground. A lot of people were asking why I would put it over where I did, and it's because camp's going to change once the dining hall moves. People kind of hover around eating facilities when you do projects, and so just planning for the future change in the flow of camp. So that's just some of the stuff that happened. I know it's a lot of projects and stuff. So for the last little bit, if you want to go to the next slide, just as a thank you to you guys and the people that came. A lot of you guys are huge supporters of the camp, to me personally. But just in general, whether it's financially or your time or your prayer, you guys are a huge support. And last summer we ran the day camps, but we only actually paid 6 staff. We usually pay all the senior staff. And as you can see in that picture, there's a lot more than 6 people that helped last summer. That's a staff picture. Those people volunteered their time. And they took time off their paying jobs to come work for 1 day a week or 2 days a week at day camps because they wanted to be there. I made it clear with them. The board just doesn't have the resources or flexibility to pay a full staff last summer, and they just want to be there so much. So again, God just works in their hearts, and there's so many awesome people that were coming through the camp that way. And just in general, like I said, on a normal summer, I should give you this number. So in 2019, the biggest summer, we had about 480 kids just in total throughout the overnight camps. So last summer, to be able to get just over 380 in day camps was way more than I was expecting, and just a huge testament to God and the trust when people like a supporting board and stuff like that were putting into doing something last summer. So it was awesome. And then obviously the fruits of that as well. When you have people like this that are willing to serve and help out and literally volunteer and sacrifice their time when a lot of them are going into college, right, and not taking money is a risk for them. So it was really cool. And so if you guys continue to pray and support the camp, Melville always has. You guys have always been awesome. John's support over the years, and just a lot of you guys that know you're huge parts of the families, your donations, and your time, and either sending kids to camp, or your own kids working at camp, or you yourself working there. It's been huge. So I just want to thank you guys for that. If you have any questions, obviously always just phone the camp, or come on out and visit this summer. Just let us know ahead of time. And, we fully plan on doing a lot of stuff this summer. Registrations are open, and we'll see what the summer brings, because we can't guarantee anything these days, but I trust in God that there's a lot of good stuff that's going to happen.